Welcome back to another episode of the Breadwinner Energy podcast. Today, I am bringing you guys with me in the car. So, I really hope this is going to sound okay, but there's no guarantees because I am driving. You guys know I am a firm believer in building your business that works with your life. And sometimes life is going to life. Sometimes life is going to be busy. And you don't always have time to just sit in your office in this perfectly curated space and sit down and have hours and hours on end to create content. And I know for me, as you guys know, I'm a mom and I don't have childcare or family close. So my work schedule is based around my kids' schedules, it's based around my husband's schedule, and it's based around the time and the freedom that I create. What does that mean, right? For so many people, what this means is there's a lot of things that you either don't do in your business or you don't do in your life because you're holding back in one of those categories. That would mean like, well, I just can't have a podcast because if I have a podcast, then I would need this amount of hours and I don't have that amount of hours to work. Therefore, I'm not going to podcast. Versus podcasting is actually a really big part of my business, my funnel, my nurture, which also allows me to spend less time creating freebies, less time creating maybe even other content, right? Longer form content. So this one piece of content can be repurposed into many different places, and it also builds my funnel. It converts better for me. Like that's what works for my business. So how can I make it work around what I already have versus saying it's this black and white, can't do it, right? I have told you guys many times, I don't force on the podcast. However, I think there is a difference between creating a plan and actually executing on that plan because it works for you versus not having a plan at all and just kind of freeballing your business because you have to wave in the wind because of your kids or because of life or whatever. Here's what I will tell you. There's tons of entrepreneurs in the world. There's tons of women entrepreneurs in the world, most of which have either a family, children, they're raising small children and or chronic illness, and all of them have personal lives, right? Well, for all of us here, we could easily say, well, I can't do that because I have kids, or I can't do this or this because I have to do this, and then not do the thing. And those same people are the same people who sit in my containers who also tell me I have big goals, I have big dreams, I want to make a big impact, but I insert excuse or insert life circumstance. And I just want to tell you that's simply not true. And you don't have to subscribe to that being a fact of your life. You can simply say, in this season of life, I am raising small kids. Therefore, here are my windows that I can actually execute work. Therefore, I'm going to capitalize on what I'm really good at in that amount of time and not waste time and energy on other bullshit. But here's the actual truth that many people are afraid to tell you, but I'm not, is that those same people who are telling me, well, life is so hard and I have kids and so I can't do this or this, are the same people who are spending hours on social media, spending hours watching reality TV, spending hours in other people's drama, spending hours fighting with their family or their partner. So you probably do actually have a lot more time than you think, but the time is being used in things that don't actually support your future self. They don't support your dream life. And that's what we're going to talk about today, which is how I plan business, my 3 year plan for business. Now, I know that there's going to be so many of you, they're like, I cannot have a 3 year plan in my business because I don't know what's going to happen in the next 3 years. And maybe that is true, which is why we do the 3 year plan. But the other thing I want to tell you is a lot of you here have either been in business for close to 3 years or more than 3 years and have not hit your goals. Therefore, what you're doing currently isn't working. So, what are you going to do about it? I had a client recently tell me, doing a 3 year plan makes me feel really boxed in. And so I said to her, okay, how long have you had your goal of being a six-figure business owner? And she said, at least 7 years. And I said, so for the last 7 years, you've wanted to hit this goal and haven't, but you think creating a plan for 3 years is too long, but you haven't achieved it yet. Right? So what is 3 more years? And we're going to get into the 3 year plan, right? Because the goal of the 3 year plan is not that it takes you 3 years. And while maybe it does, because every person's different, right? And your level of execution will be different, it doesn't mean it will. So I did the 3 year plan in my very own business way back in 2020. And in 2021, I hit my first ever six figures. Had I had executed a little differently in 2020 and I did not allow life circumstances to dictate my level of execution, I could have hit it sooner. However, it took me less than a year and a half to hit the six-figure goal in the 3-year plan. And then by year 3, I hit multi six figures. So what I'm telling you is there is a reason and logistics to what we're doing. But if you continue to have this, well, go with the flow, creative, do whatever comes to mind bullshit, I will tell you right now, it's probably not working or going to work for you. There has to be some level of structure and business planning that goes on in business, right? Here's another thing. When it comes to business planning, especially for my women I see two types usually. I usually see the type A person who loves to plan, but doesn't execute well. And I see the other type of woman who likes no plan and just does whatever she wants. And then it kind of goes haywire, right? So we're going to kind of combine these two. We're going to combine creating a solid plan that actually drives results with also having freedom, flow, and ease. I spent lots of years in business being very type A, and that worked really well because I got results, but it also led to burnout and it also led to exhaustion and frustration and resentment because I wasn't allowing myself the freedom and the flow. And then I went into like a year and a half of like so much freedom and flow with very little structure that also didn't work. And so then I was able to look at the two things and be like, okay, here's what really worked for structure. Here's what really worked for freedom and flow. How do I marry these two things together? Because it cannot be one or the other to create big business results. And then, of course, marrying those two things together in the last 90 days has gotten me more results, more money, bigger cash months, right? It's worked. And I knew it would work. And the reason I knew it would work was because number one, having the type A that I was planned to a T already worked, right? So knowing that the plan works, and now the only thing that I need to do is learn how to trust the plan, execute the plan, and then lean back, which I spent a year and a half learning how to lean back, right? So mastered I've mastered a plan, and then I've mastered leaning back, and marrying those two things together is now what has to happen. So I know that so many of you, again, like to go with the flow, like to just allow the creativity to come to you, right? And while that is a very important piece of entrepreneurship because we're all creatives, we also need to be very, very mindful of how creative we are and where we're putting the creativity. Here's what this will look like. Launches, for example. Most of you probably wing launches, probably have little to no idea how to execute a quality launch, let alone a successful launch. If you have not hit a six-figure launch, then I can easily assume that, right? And you kind of go with the flow and wave in the wind with launches. But if you were to have an actual plan and structure for launching, and then build in the creativity pieces, your launches would probably go a lot better, right? If you were able to marry the two. Here's what happens when you go to launch, you lean on your creativity and flow, but the other side of your brain that's in this like planning, doing, launching is like, okay, I don't feel creative, right? There's lots of ups and downs. Here's what I will tell all of you. As a woman, you're going to have ups and downs. And I know that simply because you have a 30-day hormone cycle. So you cannot avoid the ups and downs no matter where you're at, whether you're premenopause, postmenopause, whether you're having an active period, you still are a woman with a woman hormone cycle. Therefore, you are going to have ups and downs. Just in hormones. Now let's throw in being sick. Now let's throw in raising kids. Now let's throw in something with your family. Now let's throw in something with your partner, right? You cannot execute your business and a launch at a high quality simply on vibes, simply on creativity. You just can't do it. The chances of you actually producing a well plan is not going to happen, right? Therefore, launches need to be planned so that you are putting yourself in the position to execute a great launch and giving yourself flow and creativity in between. Because we know that our energy goes up and down and flows and is not linear, this means you need to plan content ahead of time and not just in the vibe or in the flow. What this could look like is getting in the vibe and flow, creating your launch content and plan, coming back to it, revising it during creativity and flow times, and then putting it in a structure and allowing it to perform. Once it's done performing, right, on its own, you've automated it. It's done performing. Now you can go back and say, okay, what worked, what didn't work. But trying to vibe during your entire launch is a recipe for fucking your launch up, if we're being really honest. It is a recipe for self-sabotage. It is a recipe for quitting halfway in between and losing momentum because your energy simply cannot sustain it. This is why I'm such a firm believer in a plan. This is why I'm such a firm believer in the way that I've created success is through two things. This is literally, okay, I've told you guys this a million times. So I've said this so many times that literally my clients say this and it cracks me up is this is the hill I will die on. They say it all the time to me. Like, this is the hill I will die on. But the hill that I will die on is that success comes from two things. Number one is having a plan to actually execute your goals. And number two is becoming the version of you that can actually execute those goals. Because here, again, here are the things I see. I see either on one hand is I don't think this can actually happen for me. I don't believe I can have success, or I don't believe that I can have the level of success that someone else has had, or that I don't deserve it, even subconsciously. Or that they think that I can't have this. So then they set goals that match their current reality or that match what they think is possible right now. So what I'll see is people are creating goals that are like, oh, well, that would seem achievable from this energy that you're currently holding. But deep down, you desire something more. Deep down, you want bigger results, bigger impact, more money. Like there's this like wish list, so to speak, of things you want. You just don't believe you can have them. So you don't actually set goals towards them. Right. On the other hand, it's the person that sets big, big, lofty goals, but never actually becomes the person that can have them. So what happens is they become like addicted to failure. What I call it that, but it's really like this fear of success, right? And it's like this self-sabotage because there's something underlying there. But you still want the things and you want them really badly. And this used to be me. There's this version of me that was like, I want it so bad. And I actually believe I can have it. And I actually believe I deserve to have it. And I want it. But there's a big difference between really, really wanting something and thinking you can have it and actually becoming the person that does the thing required to have it. And I think that's the biggest difference there is most people will never become the thing. They will only do the thing, right? Like they will never become the version of them required to have the life they want. And that's just simply what it is. And so you can master creating goals and desires from your next level self, higher self, 3 years from now self. If you can master creating that plan and then becoming the version of you that executes and follows through on that plan, you will hit your goals. It will change your whole life. That is what is required. So I created a 4-week live intensive. Now, this is something that I'm teaching to my mastermind, my business mastermind expansion room. This is what I'm teaching. I'm teaching them how to become the version of them that has and does the things they want to do in life and business, and creating a business around that. So the first thing we do is a business audit, a life audit, an energy audit, personality audit. We go through all the things and audit all the pieces of you. It's pages and pages long so that you can be very, very clear on how much capacity do you actually have? What does your life actually look like? What makes you you? Here's a really good example. I have 2 kids at home. That one's school age, she does a private online school, the other one's a toddler. So I'm full-time momming, and I've been full-time mom in my business since I started my business because I was 7 months pregnant when I first started in 2016. So since then, I've had children my entire entrepreneurial career. We've hired part-time nannies multiple times, never worked out. They all started businesses. I was like, what in the fuck is happening? And we don't have family close. So I've been full-time momming in my business my whole career, and I've had to learn how to figure that out. But I also have had to figure out how business can work for me as someone who's neurodivergent, how business can work for me as someone who is actually secretly introverted. Like I love my work and I'm really good at my work, and I'm autistic. So this makes sense, right? Like this work lights me up and I can talk about it forever and ever and ever, but I also fucking hate small talk. I cannot do small talk. I don't care about it. Like I want to have in-depth conversations about life, about business, about the world. And when people don't have those, like, so for me, I'm not going to have a business structure that's rooted in going out and DMing people or like doing small talk and making conversation in hopes one day that will turn into sales. Like I'm never going to do that because that actually doesn't work for me at all. Now let's layer in that my human design is that I'm a responder. So it actually also doesn't make sense at all for my human design to build a business around responding to things when and then going out and not responding but going after, right? That's complete opposite of the way my energy is actually built. So again, I'm not going to do that. When people reach out and DM me, oh, we're having conversations. I will almost always close a sale in the DMs with someone who DMs me about said offer, but I'm not going to go out of my way to cold DM people. And I used to do that and it was fucking horrendous and I hated it, right? So in my mastermind, this is what we're doing is building a business that works for you. Once we've done that, we identify who you actually are at your core. We do some level 2 shadow work because in Academy is level 1 shadow work. So we do level 2 shadow work of becoming the version of you. We create the 3-year plan and then we start to execute on year 1 of this plan. I was telling someone about this recently and how I'm right now in the thick of planning my next 3 years because that's where I'm at in my business. And I've been doing this now for almost 6 weeks in my own business. And our plan is done, but we're on the back end. So what this looks like is we do big brain dumps and I allow myself to brain dump for like weeks. The reason being is because, and I start this early because I'm not going to rush this plan, right? So I've given myself space where every 3 years from about August to the end of the year, we're not only mapping out the next 3 years, but we're really doing a big overhaul and cleanup of the business. Like we're getting really ready to start the 3 years over. And then at the end of every year in between, we have littler, smaller audits that need to happen to like calculate, okay, what happened in year 1? How do we do better in year 2, et cetera, et cetera. But when we start this cycle over for a new 3 years, I need intentional time to allow myself to like really digest what's happened in my business up until this point. I need to give myself time to digest my plans and my ideas. Because if I just immediately execute on said ideas, which this is like my shadow, this is something I do a lot. It's like I think of an idea and I'm like, boom, let's do it. I think of an idea, I'm like, boom, let's do it. That's what I'm really good at too. But sometimes that works in disadvantage because like I could say like, oh, I want to write a book in year 3. But if we're looking at like all the other things I want to do, all the other things that I want to accomplish, and we say, you know what? In the next 3 years, that doesn't actually make a lot of sense. And here's what would make more sense. And then here's how we would put that above that, which would actually filter us in to a really good place for me to start writing a book or publishing a book or whatever. So I allow myself to really sit on this, like, what do we want to do? What are my goals? What are my dreams? What are my desires? And I allow myself to like think really, really big and then to get more micro specific and then to really clean that up and then to get more micro specific, right? So I allow that to kind of come in for weeks until an actual plan starts to form and we start to get clear on what we're doing. And then we start to get clear on year 1, right? And then after I've done that, what I'm going to do is work with my team, and I've already built this, is I want my team to execute on X, Y, and Z for the rest of the year to really clean us up and put us in a position to be ready to start executing year 1 by January. So we've got August, September, October, November, December, almost 5 months of planning and cleaning things up to get ready for our 3-year plan. Now, here's the thing. A lot of business owners will do is during this period, they will not sell or make money in their business. No, I literally made $2,000 this morning before 9 a.m. Before I was going into town, which is what I'm doing right now. Before 9 a.m., already made $2,000 new sales, not reoccurring, right? So like last month, between reoccurring and new sales, we brought in almost $18,000 cash. And so, right, so we're compounding things we've done. We're compounding monthly reoccurring revenue. We're compounding new offers. I'm also using the rest of this year to tee up for what I want to do next year. So I'm like, I really want people to be warm by January so that I'm ready to fill my 2 signature offers. Well, between now and then, I need to really start to warm people up. So what does that look like? Proximity offers, right? Live intensives with me to warm people up, to get them ready to come into my bigger containers by January. So a lot of this is like a long thought process to how does this actually work and function in the business? And then I've also scheduled time off for the holidays because I really need the downtime in December and January. I love that downtime. Our family holiday trip is usually what happens in that time. I don't know if we'll go this year because of life, children, my grandmother being sick, etc. But at the same time, is I'm still going to plan downtime. So that's what that actually looks like in practice in my business. So now let's go to bringing you to what I'm doing now, which is a 4-week live proximity offer. What does this mean? It means 4 weeks with me completely live to plan this for you. Because when I was telling someone recently, I'll go back to that. I was telling someone recently about this planning situation for myself. She was like, "Oh my God, like I want to learn this. Like, I want to know all the things. This is like amazing. If you offer this, I will buy it." And I was like, thinking on it, thinking on it, thinking. I was like, well, I already teach it to my mastermind, and I need to warm people up to come into my mastermind. And I know that a lot of people are looking for masterminds at the end of the year to get ready for 2026. So this is actually perfect timing to not only create this offer, teach this offer live, and I'm fresh off of it because I'm literally doing it myself. So it's so fresh in my mind of what I'm actually doing, walking through my own process. Plus, not only is it fresh in my mind and I can invite people to this process, it warms people up for my mastermind and it gives them the opportunity to join my mastermind to set themselves up for their next year. It was like perfect timed, right? And that's where I've created flow in my business, because I've created flow to say, in this time period, I'm going to do proximity offers. I don't need to plan what that proximity offer is. I need to give myself time to execute the year, but know when I get to this point in the year, a proximity offer needs to happen. So I'm going to start planning that ahead of time, and there'll be space and creativity to plan that and think about it and allow it to come together. But that was where I was holding space for a proximity offer. So this is where I've created structure and then freedom and flow. So now I'm offering to you to join me live for 4 weeks inside this proximity offer so that you can learn the 3-year process for your own business. You can learn how to execute this for your business. And this will literally change your whole life. It will change the way you do business for literally ever and ever. Amen. Thank you. Come again. Like, you will never ever think and look at your business the same. You will finally have a plan, and you will also prioritize being a CEO and making money. I cannot tell you how many of you listening right now will not be in business in the next few years if you do not prioritize making money first. If you do not think about how to make money in your business first and foremost at the beginning of the day, the beginning of the week, you will be out of business. And that is the hard reality. And I don't want any of you to go out of business. So, this is called Rebel CEO Business Planning. Your 3-year plan to build a 6 or multi-six figure business without overworking, without always being online, without ads, without being boxed in, without too much structure. And it's also 100% based on your life and your energy and your personality. Here's what I want to tell you. This will not be what you've learned in probably any other container. It will not be, because I cannot stand the way that most people teach business, because it doesn't work for me, and it doesn't work for my energy and my personality, and it doesn't work for like my life, and it has to work for me. So no, I will not be telling you, hey, go comment on every single person's Facebook group. Go DM 100 new people today. Unfollow, follow, whatever bullshit. Build a complicated funnel. No, goodbye. Not doing it. Too much structure, too many rules, too many moving parts. My brain is already like, fuck no, I'm out. We do not have 40 hours to spend. We do not have nannies on speed dial. We don't have a boardroom of teams. Here's the thing is, I know you want a clear plan without feeling boxed in. I know that you want a plan that actually works for you while having space for like life things and kids and really just sometimes being a fucking moody bitch, right? And like knowing like I can't be on today. I can't be on this week. My literal calendar set up. So 2 weeks every month have no calls. If I choose to add a proximity offer and add calls, cool. If I don't, I don't. There's nothing in there. In 2 weeks of my whole month, 0 calls. If you are so tired of saying like, this is my year, this will be my year, next year will be my year, and then free balling your way through with nothing to show for years on end, this is for you. If you consider yourself a rebel and you don't like most advice and most of it has not worked for you, this will be for you. Now, if you're addicted to chaos and excuses and how this will never work for you and you need all this freedom, and honestly, just save your money and don't join, because this won't be the space for you, because this will require you to step into being a CEO and doing the hard thing and planning the hard thing and executing the hard thing. Will we have fun? Yes. Will there be freedom? Yes. Will you make more money than ever before? Also, yes. Will you always love it and feel good and always be like, oh my God, high vibes? No, you won't, because that's not how life fucking works. And I'm not going to sugarcoat that. So I'm inviting you to join me in October, the 1st through the 30th, 4 weeks live. You're going to have 4 calls on Zoom with me, Voxer access in between calls.
my templates, my plug and play templates, and all the things you need to plan out your year and 3 years to hit your targets. And you'll have access to replays. Plus, when you join, you get instant access to the pre work to start doing all the shit now. The calls will be October 2nd, 15th, 22nd, and 29th at 12 p.m. CST. They'll be approximately 60 to 90-minute calls. I've added the extra 30 minutes in there for open coaching. Okay. The link is down below in the show notes. You can join right now as this podcast has dropped for $197. That price will go up on September 17th, which is in 48 hours, to $297. Or if you upgrade to the Breadwinner Energy Academy for 12 months, you can get it for free. So that price is $222 a month for 12 months or $2222 a year. Now, what is the difference between the two? The Breadwinner Energy Academy is literally becoming the version of you that has success. It is shadow work. It is the mindset and the energy work that you've never learned before to show you exactly what is missing for you to create success in your life and business. It is non-negotiable to become the version of you required to create this plan and execute this plan. So if you're the type of person that likes to bail out, who cannot stick to a plan, who has lots of mind drama, lots of energy drama that needs cleaned up, you should just join the Breadwinner Energy Academy, because I will tell you, not only in the next year will you become a totally new person that actually changes the way that you think and feel and operate in the world, but it is literally non-negotiable to become that version of you in order to create the success that you want. So that means that I would just join that right now, right? So for $297, you get the 4 weeks with me, or $222 a month, you get both the academy for a year. And so if you go to the sales page, link is down below, breadwinnerenergy.co/rebel CEO. Down on that page will be a link to either join this for $197 if you're listening today and tomorrow, $297 if you're listening after Wednesday, and then also upgrading to the academy. If you have questions, you can always DM me on Instagram at @itstayDaniels_LLC. And as always, thank you so much for tuning in.